Don't worry. We watched Madam Web for you, so you don't have to. Welcome back, moviegoers. We have a fun one. Maybe not a fun one. We have
Fun to talk about.
We have a fun bad one today. We're back with another saucy opinion. And we have Madam Web today. And I'm excited to not tear it to shreds, but tear it to shreds. Because there's a lot of problems with this movie. It wasn't as bad as I don't think it deserved a 17% Rotten Tomatoes. I will say that. A bit harsh.
Still there?
I'd give it maybe a 55%. You know, maybe a 65.
Oh!
Okay, so upon seeing it last night and filming this, it has gone from a 17% down to a 14% on the tomatoes. Which again, it's bad, but I don't think it's deserving of a 14%. Because that's a little like...
Like, what are like the lowest rated movies of all time? Because I feel like that's down there.
One more like... so, you know, some people tried in this movie and actually like put some passion to it, and like, so I'm like, imagine this is your first movie, you really poured your heart into it and you got a 14%. Yeah. Like that would just make you not even want to try to make a movie anymore. You know? Okay. Let's dive in here. So the start of this movie, I thought it started off kind of good. I was intrigued with the mom of Dakota Johnson being out in the Amazon and kind of looking for the spider and trying to find this ancient spider. But then it takes a really weird turn when all of these like native Amazon ancient people come flying out of the trees, and you're like, is this Tarzan? Is this Spider-Man? Is this... Hold on. Like, I know this is in its own universe, but like, let's calm down. I don't know, any thoughts on the opening? No thoughts at all? Zero thoughts?
I thought when the ancient spider people put the spider on the mother and it bit the mother, that was supposed to help her like live, and it didn't.
Oh, yeah.
It was just transfer the baby in an instant, and the baby was born 5 seconds later. But I thought the mom was supposed to live too. I thought that was the point of it.
Yeah, that was kind of the point of it.
So...
Yeah, because the point of hunting down the spider, she said, was because it possessed strength and healing properties, if I remember right. Yeah. So you're like, oh, these great healing properties that don't heal you or save you. Here, from a gunshot wound too, just a single shot, you're like, come on. Yeah. I don't know.
It bothered me. I don't know why.
Maybe if she got like ripped in half or something, or like, you know, like really mangled. Yeah, so you get past that mumbo jumbo, and I thought it got back to a somewhat good kind of story and pace with, so the main character, Cassie, is an EMT that works with Ben Parker, you find out. So there's some cool kind of story and Easter egg stuff going on there. And it really gets you excited, but it never goes anywhere in the film. So it was, I don't know, it was another thing that hypes you up and then it doesn't do good.
Like you're waiting for like, not answers necessarily, but something towards the end of the movie. Like, okay, well, we've got to like, it's got to tie in somehow. You got to have another Easter egg or something that's never happened.
Yeah, the first time she gets her future visions, they're quite enjoyable because they're actually kind of like a flash and a vision, and you're like, oh, okay, she just saw something that's going to happen in the future. And then you brought up a good point that later in the film, it more turns into she does something, dies, and then rewinds time and does it again. Okay, so yeah, it starts kind of mixing visions, and is she like re-experiencing stuff or stuck in a time loop, or it's just
something else was like, it was only like 15-20 seconds ahead too.
Yeah.
We know it's because she doesn't know how to use her powers yet, but it was like, that's why I thought it was like rewinding time by 20 seconds is like she said something wrong, or like something just wasn't done right, so it was giving her those 20 seconds back. But then we find out that it's just her seeing the future instead.
Yeah, it's just very unclear what is happening. So you think you know what's happening as a viewer, but then you're like, oh, maybe I don't. Oh, yeah. So surprise, surprise, surprise. But no one in the movie actually gets, besides from the bad guy, no one actually gets like powers or bitten by a spider or no suits, no superhero, nothing. Which is very interesting considering all the trailers were about them in their suits. And I'm sure you've seen the Sydney Sweeney ad of she won't be in the movie unless she's hanging upside down in her suit.
Always upside down, feet together, very ballet aerialist moves. So I begged and begged and begged to have my character drop from the ceiling because that's just what Julia would have done.
Which I don't even know if I saw in the movie, so I'm like, hold
I
on.
did for 2 seconds, but they panned the camera around.
Oh,
like,
in the flash
she was right
forward.
side up, but
yeah,
then they
it was the
panned
flash
and
forward. Yeah.
Oh.
But even then, you see, so you get a little 10-second glimpse of all three of them in their suits, maybe.
Total.
for the whole film. 2-hour movie. But the suits don't even look good. So I'm like, is that why they didn't show them? I'm like every time, not every time, when you see the suit, you're kind of like, whoa, did they get that from Spirit Halloween? Like, I remember the bit where she held up her hand with like the red glove and she has like a spider on her fingers. And it just looks so bad. It's at the very end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
It just like, it doesn't get you excited at all.
It looked like cheap stitching on the fingertip.
Yeah, I don't know. You expect more from Sony when they can produce a movie like Across the Spider-Verse, where you know they have the potential to make a great film with a great story, but then they make stuff like this in Morbius, and it's very disconnected. Like, what's going on in those studios, you know? Keep picking apart some funny parts here in the movie. So one of the moments that really got me good is it's the diner scene from the trailer. Everyone's seen the diner scene.
So Dakota Johnson comes back to the woods where the 3 girls are left. She left the girls there to keep them safe while she went off and did some research. So the 3 girls decide to do their own thing. They don't listen, and they decide to walk off to the diner. That's where.
So she shows up and realizes they're not there. So she sees footsteps in the grass, and she follows them to the diner, which seems like maybe a 5-10 minute walk. Like, it's not that bad.
They said it was like a half mile, so.
Yeah, half-mile walk, not bad. And so she finds the 3 girls in the diner, like living it up with some high school dudes, pretty much. And then Ezekiel, the bad guy, walks in, starts kind of throwing people, and he actually like just straight up snaps Sydney Sweeney's neck, which was pretty like, whoa, like, dang, okay, this guy means some business. I just wish he looked a little cooler. Because, like honestly, if they just kept him as him in his suit, a lot more intimidating than in the Spider-Man suit. You know? Like, every time he was walking with his hair, it didn't look too bad, you know?
I just don't like that it looks exactly like every other Spider-Man suit.
Yeah,
like, you could have changed it a bit so it's not Spider-Man.
Right. Which brings on the next point of, where did he get the idea for the suit from?
I'm saying.
Like, he just happens to make an identical Spider-Man suit to Spider-Man. But so, man means business in the diner, kills them all, go through a bunch of 180s on the camera flip. He stabs Cassie and kills her. And then she flashes back to the taxi where she found the footsteps. And she's like, oh my God, I can prevent it. I can stop this. I can do it all over again. And she gets in the taxi and starts like driving down the road for like, dude, it was like 15 minutes. Like, the drive was so long, she was trying to like get around this log truck, and they were trying to make it stressful, and like, she literally cut off the car to turn a millisecond later. Wait 2 seconds and just fucking turn right. Why did you risk your life to cut off that car when you're like 5 seconds from turning right. This is why we have car crashes in Denver. It's people like this. This is where they learn it from. So yeah, so she's able to walk to the diner faster than she is driving to the diner in the cab. For a
Because
half
she doesn't
mile.
make it in time. So when she does end up getting to the diner in the vehicle, the girls are already being attacked, or he's coming in right behind her or something. So she was too late.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make
So
any
she
sense.
doesn't, she's too slow in the taxi. But on foot through the woods, she was like, she was there in 30
she
seconds,
made it
you
in
know.
time, at least.
It's rough, you know? So the main villain has control of the entire NSA. All their surveillance, all their equipment for finding everyone. You know, they're hacked in. And at the beginning of the movie, they steal a cab from a cab driver and proceed to use that cab throughout the entire film. And not once can they locate this cab with all of the NSA's equipment, or even think to try and locate it. Like they're scanning faces, they're doing everything, CCTV cameras, but like a random bank camera will capture them, and they're like, "Oh, we got him, we'll do it," but they couldn't track down the license plate of a car.
She took off the license plates.
Even easier. Look for a cab without license plates on the CCTV camera. You can track it camera to camera and go, hey, they're sitting at that motel right there. Like, it's so easy.
Maybe at some point
he hired that hacker girl, though.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's just tough. All right, we got two more things to tear apart from this film. They really portray the main villain to have like super strength because he stole the super spider and made it bit him. He stole the super spider and made it bite him. So he's super strong. But at the end of the film, he gets trapped under, it's like two metal poles that are like some like fencing stakes. Like there are small pieces of metal. Like there's,
they were bigger.
in my brain, I'm like, you're telling me a spider person can't lift up that little bar?
I think it covered most of his body.
I don't know.
It was like a bunch of,
maybe it's just
it did have poles or whatever too, but
it just to me it seemed very, that's what trapped him, you know? Okay, and then the final point to talk about here is the main villain dubbed or not? We don't know. We couldn't figure it out. Was he speaking Spanish? Was he speaking English? Was it dubbed English over Spanish? Who knows?
That's what I was wondering. I thought it was maybe Spanish. Some points you can see him talking and the words add up. Other times you only see his back or like the side of him. You don't see his mouth, so they're trying to cover up his mouth. And then other times it clearly, whatever is being said by him does not match what's being said by his mouth, or his mouth isn't moving at all. And so the whole movie I'm sitting there like I was so confused, but I was also frustrated. I'm like, that seems like one of the easiest things to not have happen, or like I don't know how I'm trying to say it, but just like
lining up audio, like
or something. Like it was so bad. It really frustrated me the whole movie. So every time he was on screen, I'm like, here we go.
It just didn't make sense. But then sometimes it would line up exactly too.
Yeah.
So you'd have a moment where he says like, "Get the car," and you can see him say "Get the car," and you're like, wait a minute, but he's been dubbed the whole rest of the movie. Like, what is... So it's just a lot of rough stuff.
Editing, things like that really bother me once I see that they're there. Like, I'm usually not as picky about other things until, like, I talk about it with people. But editing errors, when I catch it, or if I hear about it after the fact, I'm like, it really just eats at me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's so sloppy. Like, people sat in a theater and watched that. whether it was the producers,
Yeah,
directors, and
they
everything at
screened
first,
that and
and
okayed
people
it.
were okay with that. Like, I
Yeah.
hate that stuff. It bothers me.
Yeah, then the movie ends with, there's no post-credit scene, but the director said she felt the end of the movie said enough. And she was like, no, I want to end it here. It said all I wanted to say. So, very interesting take there. Oh, and then they tried to lead everything from this film into another film. So everything that was supposed to happen in this movie will happen in the next one because it's in the future. It hasn't happened yet. And they might not even ever get their powers because it's the future and the future can change like we saw in this movie.
I was hoping for more action. I thought that the girls were actually going to be involved, and they weren't, like, at all. And I don't, like, it was annoying to not see them in the suit, but even if they weren't in the suits, like, I thought they were supposed to have powers. I thought they were supposed to I thought it was supposed to be like the Marvels, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they made it seem. It's like, we're all connected by, like, something. And
like they all got bit at a different, yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, apparently Madam Web went blind from drowning?
No. Something hit her, according to our friend.
I was reading up, and that's what it said online. Was
Just
that
from drowning?
she went blind due to result of drowning. Which I'm like, that can happen? Question mark. I don't know about that. I read it on IGN, so
They are pretty.
IGN's
Sorry
pretty
to lie.
good. So IGN's pretty good. So you know Madam Web is blind in the comics, but it's just a weird way to get there.
Yeah. You think it happened in a slightly cooler way, not gonna lie?
Yeah. So plugging this movie into the sauce meter here, I think it's gonna be a medium. I want to put it at mild, but I thought it had potential. It was just lacking in so many areas. Like, I honestly thought the first half of the movie was really good and had a lot of potential, and then it all just went down the drain the second half. I hope you enjoyed listening to this vent on Madam Web. I'm sure you've had to vent as well, so you're probably venting while watching this going, that's what I was saying. That didn't even make sense. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed watching, and we got some good movies coming up this year. They're a little spaced out, but we'll get there. We got Dune, we got Deadpool, we got Mad Max, we got...
Say 1 a month of newer movies.
Yeah.
But I think we've talked about maybe we go back and watch old movies too.
Oh,
or movies
yeah.
that we haven't seen, and then maybe not give a saucy opinion, but just a discussion on them.
Yeah. Little talk. I hope y'all enjoyed watching, and we'll see y'all in the next Saucy Opinion.